November 24th, 1971. The day before Thanksgiving, at Portland International Airport, a man in his mid-40s, dressed in a business suit with a black tie and a white shirt, approaches the Northwest Orient Airlines counter. He purchases a one-way ticket to Seattle, a short 30-minute flight. He gives his name as Dan Cooper. He boards the Boeing 727, Flight 305, finds his seat in the rear of the cabin. 18C lights a cigarette and orders a bourbon and soda. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. He was just another businessman on a routine flight. But Dan Cooper, or D. Bien Cooper as he would later be known due to a media mix-up, was about to become an American folk legend and the subject of one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in FBI history. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper handed a note to a flight attendant named Florence Schaffner. Thinking it was just a lonely businessman's phone number, she slipped it into her pocket without looking. Cooper leaned closer. He said, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." The note was neatly printed. It stated he had a bomb in his briefcase and wanted her to sit with him. She did as she was told, and Cooper calmly opened his briefcase, giving her a glimpse of a terrifying tangle of wires and red sticks. He then dictated his demands: $200,000 in unmarked $20 bills, 4 parachutes to primary and 2 reserve, and a fuel truck ready to refuel the plane upon landing in Seattle. The flight crew immediately relayed the demands to the authorities on the ground. The airline's president, Donald Nyrup, authorized the payment, deciding the passengers' lives were worth more than any ransom. For the next 2 hours, the plane circled Puget Sound while the FBI scrambled to gather the money and parachutes. On board, Cooper remained eerily calm. He even ordered a second bourbon and paid for his drinks. He was described by the crew as polite, well-spoken, and not at all what you'd expect a hijacker to be. The 36 passengers on board had no idea what was happening. They were simply told they were delayed due to a minor mechanical issue. At 5:39 p.m., the plane landed at Seattle-Tacoma Airport. The cabin lights were dimmed to deter any potential police snipers. Cooper had the plane moved to an isolated, brightly lit section of the tarmac. An airline employee brought the cash-filled knapsack and the parachutes aboard. Cooper, a man of his word, then allowed all passengers and 2 of the flight attendants to leave the plane. He kept the pilot, CO pilot, a flight engineer, and 1 flight attendant. While the plane was being refueled, Cooper outlined his next move to the cockpit crew. He wanted them to fly to Mexico City at a specific low altitude of 10,000 feet and a slow airspeed of under 200 knots. He also specified that the landing gear should remain down and the wing flaps at 15 degrees. The pilots were skeptical. They explained that flying all the way to Mexico City under those conditions wasn't possible. The plane would run out of fuel. After a discussion, they agreed on a new flight plan with a refueling stop in Reno, Nevada. Around 7:40 p.m., Flight 305 took off again, heading into the dark, stormy night. Cooper told the remaining flight attendant to go into the cockpit and stay there with the door closed. That was the last time anyone ever saw him. Around 8:00 p.m., a warning light flashed in the cockpit, indicating that the aft air stair, the retractable staircase at the back of the 727, had been opened. The crew felt a change in air pressure. Somewhere over the dense, rugged wilderness of southwestern Washington, in the middle of a raging thunderstorm with freezing rain and wind. Bien Cooper, with $200,000 strapped to his body, jumped out of the back of a commercial airliner and into the night. He disappeared without a trace. When the plane landed in Reno a couple of hours later, authorities swarmed the aircraft. All they found was Cooper's black tie, a tie clip, and 2 of the 4 parachutes he had requested. He had jumped into one of the most hostile environments imaginable. The search began immediately. For weeks, the FBI and local law enforcement, aided by the military, conducted one of the most extensive and expensive manhunts in U.S. History. They combed the forests, mountains, and rivers of the suspected jump zone. They found nothing. Nobody. No parachute. No money. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. The FBI officially named the investigation NORJAC for Northwest hijacking. They interviewed hundreds of people, followed thousands of leads, and considered over 800 suspects in the first 5 years alone. But the identity of D.B.N. Cooper remained a complete mystery. The man was a ghost. Who was he? Was he an experienced skydiver? An ex-military paratrooper? His demands seemed specific and knowledgeable. He knew the 727 had aft air stairs that could be opened in flight, something not widely known. He knew the precise flight configuration needed to make a safe jump. Yet, experienced skydivers pointed out major flaws in his plan. Jumping at night, in a storm, into a dense forest, wearing a business suit and loafers, is practically a suicide mission. Furthermore, he jumped with a reserve parachute he was given, which was a training chute that had been sewn shut useless. Did he not check his gear? Or did he have his own chute, and the request for 4 was a clever bluff? For nearly a decade, the case went cold. The legend of D.B.N. Cooper grew. He became a folk hero to some, a symbol of rebellion against the system. He was the guy who beat the odds, stuck it to the man, and got away with it. Then, in 1980, a small glimmer of hope. A young boy named Brian Ingram was digging a fire pit on the banks of the Columbia River, about 20 miles from the suspected jump zone. He uncovered 3 rotting bundles of cash. When the FBI analyzed the money, they got a stunning confirmation. The serial numbers matched the ransom money given to D.B.N. Cooper. A total of $5,800 was recovered. But this discovery only deepened the mystery. The bundles were found far from the flight path, suggesting they might have been washed downriver. But if Cooper landed successfully, why would he abandon part of the money? And if he died on impact, why was none of the rest of the money, or any of his remains, ever found near that spot? The FBI searched the area extensively, but found nothing else. Over the years, many people have claimed to be D.B.N. Cooper, or have been named as suspects by others. There was Richard McCoy Jr., a Vietnam veteran who staged a similar hijacking just a few months after Cooper, but he was caught and later killed in a shootout with the FBI. There was Dwayne Weber, who on his deathbed told his wife, "I'm Glenn Cooper." There was Lynn Doyle Cooper, whose niece came forward believing her uncle, a Korean War vet, was the hijacker based on family stories and a key piece of evidence, the tie. In 2011, a team of citizen scientists analyzed the particles on the tie Cooper left behind. They found traces of rare earth elements like cerium and strontium sulfide, which were used in very specific, high-tech industries in the 1970s, possibly narrowing down Cooper's workplace to a place like Boeing's Aeronautics Division. Could he have been an engineer or a manager at the very company that built the plane he hijacked? It's a tantalizing clue, but not a definitive one. Despite the thousands of leads and countless man-hours, the FBI officially closed the active investigation in 2016. After 45 years, it remains the only unsolved case of air piracy in American history. So, what happened to D.B.N. Cooper? Did he survive the jump? Did he make his way out of the wilderness and start a new life with his riches? Or did the harsh reality of his reckless plan hit him hard? Did he plummet to his death in the unforgiving forest, his body and the money scattered and lost forever to the elements? Was he a criminal mastermind, or just a desperate man who got lucky for a moment before meeting a tragic end? The truth, it seems, jumped out of that plane with him and disappeared into the stormy darkness of the Pacific Northwest. The man known as D.B.N. Cooper became a legend, a ghost in the American consciousness, and his story remains one of the most compelling and enduring unsolved mysteries of our time. What do you think happened? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this dive into the unknown, Be sure to subscribe for more mysteries.